The reason you're broke is not because you don't make enough money. The reason you're broke is because you are making these 7 financial mistakes. And the worst part is that people don't even realize they are making them. I've seen these mistakes destroy more wealth than anything else. Let's fix them. Mistake number 1 is not paying yourself first. What a lot of people say while they're working, they're trying to save up some wealth, they say that their expenses and groceries and all that stuff, I'll see if I save anything and then I'll invest that afterwards. Wrong. You have to put yourself on a budget, but you have to pay yourself first, right at the beginning of the month, that, okay, I'm gonna save XYZ amount and I'm gonna spend XYZ amount on expenses. This way, you got yourself under control, you're on a controlled path, and it's gotta be a system. It's gotta be a mathematical equation that no matter what, okay, I'm saving XYZ amount a month. Because then this way, you can do the math and it's, okay, I'm saving $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year, compounded over the years, that adds up. However, if you're just leaving it to chance and you're saying you're not on a budget and you're just saying, oh, I'll see what I save, then the way human nature works is you're probably not going to save as much. As opposed to if you just said, okay, I am going to save XYZ, I'm only going to spend this amount, and then that's a repeatable process. Now you've got a system that you're running. So the fix is to automate savings before you spend it. That's having automatic contributions to a 401k. That's having an HSA set up. That's setting up a brokerage account, which is a non-retirement investment account, having an automatic amount going into that every single month. So you're putting aside the savings before you even get to your expenses so that over time you know that's going to build no matter what. Your savings should be. Mistake number 2 is keeping your emergency funds in regular savings. Now, why is this a problem and what do I mean by this? Regular savings generally doesn't generate much of a return for you. And if it's an emergency fund, the odds are you're not going to be tapping into that fund that much and hopefully not at all, which means that could be sitting there for a long time. So the difference between having it sit in a regular savings and getting 0.01% or having it in a high yield savings or a checking account or a CD getting 4% over time, that's a really big difference. Because especially when you think about inflation, things like that, guess what? If inflation's at 3% and you're getting 0.01% back, in real terms, you're losing 3% a year. Whereas if you're having a high yield savings and you're getting 4%, that money is still then growing for you. And so the problem with this is your emergency fund is literally losing buying power every year because of the concept of inflation. So you have that sitting around getting no return. Guess what? That emergency fund all of a sudden may not be sufficient 5-10 years down the road. Whereas if at the very least you were getting a 3 or 4% return, the odds are that it's keeping up with inflation and that no matter what, that's always going to be sufficient for you. You let that emergency fund sit in saving low to no yield savings for 5 years. Well, now all of a sudden something severe happens, that emergency fund's not enough to cover it. Now you're having to tap into your investment accounts, or maybe now you're having to put it on a credit card. It eliminates some of our retirement savings and also potentially puts us in debt. It's a disastrous scenario. It's why it's one of the 7 major mistakes that we want to avoid. Mistake number 3, carrying credit card debt. I see this all the time. It's stunning to me every time I see it, but it's the amount of people I see who have $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in credit card debt. And when I break down their expenses, it comes out to like half of their expenses every month are paying off credit card debt. And so they're not able to save because they're just paying off debt. And guess what? When you're paying off debt, what do you get for that? Do you get an increase in quality of life? No, you don't. You've already gotten the pleasure of that spending. When we're talking about credit card debt, you've already gotten the pleasure and enjoyment out of that spending. So now you're giving money away and all that enjoyment's in the past. You're not getting anything anymore, but you're also not able to save that money, have it invested, contribute to your retirement because you got so much debt you're paying off. The key is though, once you have this credit card debt, we got to pay it off because the interest rates on credit card debt are notoriously high, sometimes in the range of 20 to 30%. So The longer you go without paying it off, the more and more it's going to be. We got to start. If you're not paying it off, you got to at least start small. Start off at least with like $100 a month and then build from there. But we got to get those credit cards paid off because you're never going to build wealth so long as you have massive credit card debt. Mistake number 4 is not investing early. There's a process we have that when you're saving for retirement, most of your retirement gains come from your last 10 years. Why is that? Investing, we usually talk about it on a percentage basis. Let's say I have $10,000, right? Over a year, I make 10%, which is a good year. That's $1,000 made. That's not really going to drastically increase your situation on a 1-year basis. All right, now let's say you've saved for 10 years, you got $100,000. Now that 10% is making you $10,000. All right, starting to be pretty good, right? Now let's say you've saved for 30 years, and let's say you got $1 million. Let's say you're 50 now. You're entering into that last 10 years before retirement, or let's say you're 55, entering in that last 10 years before retirement, you got $1 million. Now that $1 million, that 10% on that's $100,000. That is a pretty big deal. However, in order to get your account to be that big, you're going to have to contribute. And so the early phases of building your retirement account, the bulk of the growth of that account is coming from your contributions, not from market gains. The market gains really come into play in the last 10 years before retirement because that's when you've built your account so high to where a 10% gain is, like we said, $100,000. But if you don't start early, you're never going to get to that amount. And so that's why it's so important to start early, even when it feels like you're not making much progress. Keep doing it. Keep slowly increasing how much you're contributing. And then you're going to eventually realize one day, wow, I've got this nest egg. It's because of patience and because over time you kept doing the same things. And then eventually the market gains are going to take your account to the next level, likely, assuming we get regular market gains. The best time to start investing was always 10 years ago. Everybody always looks back, oh, if I did this 10 years ago, what would my account be? Yeah, you're right. But in 10 years from now, do you want to be saying the same thing? That's how you have to always operate with these types of things. What do you want to be saying about yourself today? What do you want to be saying 10 years from now about your actions you took today? Do you want to be saying you regret the actions you took today? Or do you want to be saying, wow, I'm so glad that I was diligent, I stuck it out, I kept doing it, and now I'm in this brilliant place? Mistake number 5 is trying to time the market. We have a catchphrase that we often say, time in the market, not timing the market. What that means is if we have our money in the market over a period of 30 or 40 years, we're probably going to be doing pretty good. We have it in the market over a period of even 10 to 20 years. We're probably going to be pretty good. However, where we can mess ourselves up is if we try to think, well, the market's, I got a feeling it's going to be down. You then sell, you go to cash. But then right as you sell and go to cash, the market goes up 20%. Now you're in a situation, market just went up 20%. Do you want to buy and get in at a 20% higher level than you were at? Probably not, right? Then the market goes up another 30%. Oh, now I really don't want to buy when the market's up 50%. You start chasing this loop and it puts you in a really bad spot because the thing is, you're never going to know when the top is in. You're never going to know when the bottom of the market is in. There are times people think, oh, I'm going to buy the bottom. You go and buy it, guess what? The market goes down another 30%, another 20%. They think, oh, I'm going to wait for the market to hit the top. Guess what? That market keeps going up for 3 or 4 years. You never got back in. And so if you don't tell your money where to go, it'll disappear real fast. Yeah, and so like we were saying, what's worse than trying to time the top is missing the bottom. And you think, I'm going to wait for the bottom to set in, the market goes back up, you're chasing now. Don't be that person. Here's a reason why, and this is a surprising statistic. So every weekday, with the exception of holidays, the stock market is open. From the period of 2000 to 2010, if you just missed the 10 best days total over that decade, your market returns would have been cut in half. So imagine now you're trying to time the market and you miss half of those days. Maybe you miss all of those days. Wow, you put yourself in a really bad spot. For what? Mistake number 6 really jives with some of the mistakes we mentioned earlier in the video. That's no written budget. And it's so important to emphasize this because You need to understand where your money is going, what expenditures you have, and then what the highest potential amount you have to save is. Because oftentimes, I'll have people in, I'll say, hey, roughly, what do you spend each month? I don't know. You don't know. How are you going to be able to know how much you can save if you don't even know how much you were spending? And so if you don't tell your money where to go, if you don't allocate it, it'll disappear real fast. And we've got a simple system, and it's pretty easy to memorize. We have a 50, 30, 20 rule. 50% of your expenditures should go to bills. 30% of your expenditures should go to savings, and then 20% should go to fun. Because we want to have fun, right? We don't want to be in a situation where we're not having any fun, all work, no play. We're not saying that at all. It's just we need to make sure that while we do have stuff allocated to fun and we do have stuff allocated to bills, we need to have a nice chunk allocated to savings as well. All right, and before we get into the last mistake, I'd like to hear your questions down below. I'd like to hear what you've thought of any of these topics. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And the final mistake is lifestyle creep. I've seen this so many times where your salary starts to get higher and you start spending more and more, but you get to the point where when you retire, you're going to take a drastic cut to your lifestyle. I've seen people who were making $300,000, $400,000 a year, spending $20,000 a month, but only have $100,000 saved up. And they're 55 years old, 60 years old. So guess what? What are they going to do when they get to retirement? They are going to have to take an extreme lifestyle cut. And guess what? They're never getting that old lifestyle back because they spent well above their means. They didn't save. We talked about the 50, 30, 20 rule. They were more like 80% on fun, 20% on expenses. And the problem with this is once you retire, unless you've got a huge pension, guess what? That salary goes away because in retirement, you pay yourself. And so unless you have a huge sum of money to help you pay for that expensive lifestyle in retirement, all lifestyle creep is going to do is it's going to give you a nice lifestyle for a short period of time, and then you're never going to have it again. And you're actually probably going to be living at the worst level you've lived probably since you were in college. Do we want that? No. But unfortunately, it's something I see, and it's something I tend to see most among the higher earners. It's generally not the lower earners. It's the people who are making $300,000, $500,000, $1 million a year who spending money like it's going out of style, but they're not really saving much. And they're not really prepared for retirement from both a monetary point of view and from a psychological point of view. These aren't secrets. They're in a way kind of obvious. So I would task all of you with doing is just pick one mistake this week, work on that. Work on just getting better in that department. Take it slow, and then once that's checked off, you can start working on the others. We don't want this to be overwhelming where you try to fix everything at once. Pick one mistake, focus on it, fix that, and then we'll move on to the next one and go from there. Like I said, that's going to be it for the video. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and you all have a great rest of your day. Have a good one.